Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the community update. Today is, I've forgotten the date, Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. This is Commissioner Bell. I'd like to remind everyone to mute your phones, and we will jump right into this call. With President Eric Swanson and Adventist Health Tillamook.
Hey,
do we have Eric on the line? Hey, good morning.
Can you hear me now? I think
yes,
I got
we can.
So good morning, happy Tuesday. 8 patients in the hospital today. Yesterday we did 8 surgery cases. Ambulance crews did 6 911 transports, 2 transfers, and 2 transports home. 126 patients boarding in emergency departments across Oregon. That's 31 more than yesterday. 389 patients who are discharged, ready to go, no place to go, no change from yesterday. As you know, last Friday, there was a cybersecurity company called CrowdStrike that had some issues creating widespread problems in banking, airline, and healthcare. And Adventist Health is not a customer of CrowdStrike, so we were not directly affected, which was a good thing. Our systems like Oracle Health, PACS, Epic had no issues for Adventist Health. Some of our other hospital systems like Kaiser and Dignity in California did have issues, but we were blessed not to have any. The last thing I want to share with you this morning is that Adventist Health Tillamook, has been received A scores from the Loan Institute Hospital Index for community benefit, value, avoiding overuse, and cost efficiency. And so we're very happy that we were recognized by the Loan Institute Index, which evaluates hospitals on their social responsibility. So with that, unless you've got questions for you, I'll go back on mute.
Well, congratulations on that rating. That's very good news.
Thank you.
And I'm relieved that you didn't get hit by the CrowdStrike. I'm not even sure what we're calling that event. It was amazing to watch that roll across the globe on the news and see how many businesses were impacted.
Yeah, it was just terrible. And I was very, very, very grateful. It was a good opportunity for us, though, to dust off our downtime plans. Because just because computers go down doesn't mean we can't continue providing care. And so that was our goal on Fridays, to get your downtime plan ready, review it, make sure you've got all the resources you need to still provide care to people. But again,
that is great. Yeah.
Blessed and grateful that it didn't impact us.
Yeah, well, as am I. And you're right. That is a great opportunity to practice, to be prepared. So yeah, well done. Doug, do you have any questions for Eric?
Good morning. No, I don't. I guess I'd ask him again, which we ask pretty routinely, any updates at all on the renal situation? I know you've been active on talking with at least one organization.
Right. No new updates. They're continuing to do their due diligence. They have interest in coming to Tillamook, but they've got, there's so many moving parts that they have to evaluate before they can make a final decision. I know that they will be here on site next week to look at the dialysis machines that are here and do some checking and maintenance on those so that they don't sit in the basement and go stagnant and not be able to be used. So to me, that's a good sign that they're willing to fly out and take care of the equipment that they don't even own. So,
well, thank you for that. Good news. No news is good news, I guess. So keep trying. Oh, I appreciate it for now. Sure.
Yeah, thank you so much, Commissioner.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Well, I believe that we don't have any Coastal Caucus members this morning, and I'll just double check, but both Representative Javidi and Senator Weber had told us that they were not available today, so double checking.
I'm here.
And hey, good morning. What a nice surprise. Maybe I misunderstood you. I'm delighted that you're here.
No, things worked out so I could be here this morning, and I appreciate your willingness to kind of pivot on this and accept me back.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. It's been a busy week. We had the Coastal Caucus last week, and we had several things to discuss, things that are going to be impacting Tillamook County especially. And one of them was school funding, because we have 4 school districts in our district that are going to be impacted by the timber sales and the HCP. And they are Seaside, Neocani, Nestucca, and Jewel. And so your county commissioner has been involved in discussions. Now there are some decisions that are going to have to be made at a higher level. And we were informing the rest of the coast as to what some of the ramifications of the HCP are going to cause our schools to suffer. And it's going to exponentially then also impact our state and how our state funds education. So that was a very interesting discussion, and there will be more to come on that. I will be having a meeting with the governor's office to discuss this very soon. I think it's next week. I'm also having a meeting with ODOT to discuss potential funding and how we are going to go forward with funds for Highway 6. As fun, last week I got to go to the Columbia County Fair, and that's always fun. I love fairs. I love meeting the people. I love seeing all the things they're doing. It's not like Tillamook County Fair, but it's a really good time. I also did my work on my task forces, chronic absenteeism, and that was exciting too, because we are looking at plans from other states and how they are working on absenteeism within their state and how they're involving whole communities to get kids back in school. Then on Saturday, we had that wonderful groundbreaking ceremony up in Wheeler for the new health district. It was nice and warm standing out there in the field and hearing all that everyone had done to be able to accomplish this was also amazing. It was a really good crowd, really good chocolate chip cookies, I might add, and really good discussions with people from Merkley's office, Bonamici's office, and the people in North County. So appreciate being included in that. And I think that we're going to see great things in North County with healthcare, especially in the near future. I think they said like September of next year, we will see the building completed and ready to go. So that is, I can hardly wait. And I'm sure the people in North County feel the same way. Additionally, last week, I had a meeting, it was sort of like a county meeting to discuss the blue economy. And Colpac put that on, and it was up in Bay City. And we talked about all of the impact of what we do with our ocean and how it impacts our economy. And they are doing this sort of a project and meeting with Clatsop County and Columbia County and other areas in the region to look at how we can capture the blue economy more successfully. And so we'll be seeing more coming from that in the future. Yesterday, I spent the day in Astoria with Representative Krupp from Bend and Senator Lieber, who is now the new co-chair of Ways and Means, looking at deflection in Clatsop County. And it was a whole day program. we looked at an overview of what they are doing, met with the DA, the judge, and all of the folks who are involved in what will be happening with deflection. And I must say, deflection is part of the Bill 4002 that was passed that is going to make changes to 110 and what do you call it? Well, we're going to be not recriminalizing, but restructuring how we look at drugs and how it affects society. So we went over the whole program overview. We toured the jail and their medical facility and how they operate that, and met with the doctor there, and the Rapid Access Clinic, which was opened a couple of years ago. I went up for the grand opening of that, and how they have developed that through their behavioral health. Toured the Columbia Inn, which is one of the Project Turnkey in Astoria. Met with the police chief from Seaside to talk about how they are handling this, and I capped the day off in drug court with Judge Wintermute. And that was amazing. It was amazing to hear the stories of the people and how they are living their best life, and what drug court is doing for them. The staff of drug court up there is such a caring, wonderful group that I was very impressed at what they were doing. The rest of the week, I'm going to go and meet with Cammie at the fairgrounds today to talk about food for the staff, because my friends and I provide the food during the week for the fair board and the people that work for the fair, so that they don't have to worry about going out and getting lunch and dinner. And so I'll be working on that. And I'll also be having a hunger task force meeting this morning. And I'll be traveling to Clatsop County again tomorrow to talk about law enforcement and the challenges that they are facing. And get to end the week with the Garibaldi Days Parade. And I also get to go to Camp Riley on Saturday, because we're going to be putting up the sign for Kenny Liston, the young man that I got recognized in a resolution on the floor that was killed in Afghanistan. A wonderful young man. And so we're going to be putting up a roadside sign for him and talking about him and honoring him and acknowledging the fact that he gave his life for our country. He was just, in meeting with his parents during the session, the love that was felt for Kenny Liston was amazing, not only by his parents, but his friends and his colleagues. And so being able to honor him in this way, when you go by Camp Riley on your way up, I know many of you go to Costco on a regular basis, look for the sign that honors him. So anyway, I'll conclude with that. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to be meeting, one other thing is I'm going to be meeting with Clatsop County to discuss water issues in the near future, because we have some water districts that have some serious problems, and not unlike what we have here in Tillamook. But we've got to be able to solve these problems and make sure that people have the ability to get clean, safe drinking water. So there you go.
Thank you so much, Senator. I'm delighted you are with us this morning, and thank you for your report. I'm happy you were able to go to the groundbreaking of the new Nehalem Bay Health Center on Saturday. I was not able to go. I was out of town, but I thought about it. I would have gone if I was here. I'm so happy you were there.
it was wonderful, Commissioner Bell, to see the excitement of the people that were there, and the gratitude of all of the people that have worked so hard to accomplish this. It's going to be great.
Oh, truly. Yeah. It's going to be a great resource for North Tillamook County. It already is a great, the Nehalem Bay Health Center already is a great resource for North Tillamook County, but the new health center is it's a very exciting project. And I wanted to mention something you said early in your talk about, you were talking about the way schools are funded and how the proposal that might change. And just to respond to that, Commissioner Scar is not with us today. Otherwise, I'm sure she would jump in here because as you mentioned, she's part of all of those talks. And
yes,
the
she and I
talks
have
about
discussed
how
this
to
also.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, the talks about how to replace timber revenue, and that what you were describing, one proposal is to change the funding, to use the timber funding that comes in currently for school districts in Tillamook County, which are primarily Neahkani and Nestucca, for the state to reroute that timber funding to the county and the state education fund to take over funding those schools. Sort of sounds okay in theory, except for when we've talked about it, I think our grave concern would be that would only be acceptable if the state education fund could fund those schools at their current funding rate. So if if those districts took a hit because the state isn't funding schools at the same rate, and in no way would the county consider taking revenue from those districts if they were going to suffer for it. So it's a Sophie's Choice kind of offer, and I find it really difficult to wrap my head around why anybody would think that would be a good idea, unless the state could guarantee them continued funding at their current rate.
Right. And I think that's why it's so important that the governor's office be involved in this discussion.
Truly, yes.
Because, we have been talking for a long time about the possibility of restructuring how education is funded throughout the state. You can't come to any kind of a decision that they're going to move forward with, but they are talking about what the quality education model is going to look like and how we're going to fund it. And, there's a lot involved in this because there's also the responsibility of the school districts in this as to how they use their money too.
Sure.
I had a long discussion yesterday with Senator Lieber about, what are we going to do about this? She's, now co-chair of Ways and Means. I'm on Ways and Means Education. It's a sticky wicket. It really is. We have to get kids back in school at a higher level than what we have. We've got to make sure that our kids are learning and that we can raise our standards and the what kids are measuring up on a national level, because we're not looking really good right now. And we've got to be able to pay our teachers an equitable wage so that we can continue to have good teachers and guarantee we're going to have good education. So there's so many things that are involved in it. We've got teacher standards and practices who maybe they should be with education instead of an agency by themselves. And so you can see that exponentially this problem grows from, how do we fund these 4 school districts to a huge state related issue.
That makes sense. Yeah, it is huge and complicated. You're absolutely right.
So anyway,
I'm grateful that you are working on that.
I am. Let's hope we can have some good results coming out of this.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Doug, do you have anything for the senator?
No, she and I have talked about some of the water issues before, and I appreciate what's going on in Clatsop County. And at some point, I think she and I will meet and talk about some of the issues here in Tillamook County as well. And no significant solutions, but maybe there's a way to share resources and share information and maybe form cooperatives or intergovernmental agreements, those kinds of things, because all our tiny little utility districts that have fewer than a couple of hundred customers, they simply don't generate the cash needed in what is
Yes.
really a capital intensive business. So yes, more to come on that one for sure.
Last week I met with Jason Green, who is a local young man with the Oregon Association of Water Users. I think I've called that right. To talk about some of what we can expect, what we can look for, and what we can, maybe, help some of these water districts out that are having these serious problems. So, yeah,
Well,
I'm working on it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. And you mentioned briefly your volunteer service for the fair, but I just want to thank you in advance for that work. I know you do it every year, and it's a huge job. Suzanne and her friends start before the fair because, of course, people who are working at the fair start days earlier, and they feed all the fair staff and volunteers for the whole week. It's a huge job, and thank you very much. It's a really meaningful service that's kind of behind the scenes, and I just want you to know I'm really grateful.
Well, thank you. It's kind of challenging sometimes, but it's also a lot of fun.
Good. Well, I am looking forward to the fair. Do we have anything else for the senator? If not, Senator, you are welcome to stay on because our next thing is a surprise. It's not on the agenda. I invited Commissioner-elect Paul Fournier to join us and introduce himself, talk about what he's learning, what he wants to learn, what he's excited about, or basically anything he wants to talk about. Paul was elected in the May election because he had over 50% of the vote. And so we look forward to him joining the commission, the Board of County Commissioners, after he's sworn in January. And people are interested in him. They're asking me about him and curious. And so I just thought he is commissioner-elect and he should join us on this call and introduce himself. So, Paul.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning, we can.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you for the invite. As you know, I am currently winding down a very long road trip vacation, nearly a month long. I just checked this morning and I've done over 7,200 miles. I'm currently sitting in a truck stop in Wyoming, trying to get back home, but the wildfires in eastern Oregon are trying to make that more difficult for me. But I do appreciate the invitation and I'll try to be brief. I really don't, I'm not sure what you'd like me to speak about, but one of the things on this trip that I've been paying attention to is I've been staying in my travel trailer. So I've been going to a lot of resort communities, and it is interesting seeing how these communities are dealing with some of the issues, of course, that we're dealing with in Tillamook County. So it's fun, and it's been a learning experience to see some of their workforce housing solutions and how they're mitigating short-term rentals and all that kind of stuff that, all communities like ours are dealing with. So I've been picking up some ideas I'm looking forward to share with you and the rest of the board. Before I left, and even since I've left, on the phone and through emails, I've been meeting with a bunch of community groups, community action groups in Tillamook County. I've met with some of our destination management organizations, so Nan and Dan over there at Travel Tillamook, and also OCFA. I'd love to meet with anybody. Eric Swanson and I have met, and anybody else on this call possibly would like to meet me, they can get a hold of me through my county email, which is paul.fournier@tillamookcounty.gov. I've been attending housing commission meetings, both virtual and in person, and I'm very optimistic with that. So I'm learning a lot from Sarah and Parker and what they've got going on. And it's pretty exciting, some of some of the ideas that they're generating. So I'm very excited about that and optimistic that they're going to help find some solutions to our housing issues. Also been participating in the budget committee meetings. I'm looking forward to returning to those in person. I want to thank Commissioner Olson for all the work he's been doing on those and keeping that moving. A lot of good ideas coming out of that. I'm looking forward to participating in person in that when I get back in a few days. Again, it's exciting to see the community be involved. I'm glad that the commissioners decided to kind of extend the budget committee, since they usually go away right after, ratifying the budget. It's been interesting to see and to get that kind of input from them. And I think is the kind of transparency I really like in government. My only complaint has been while I'm on the road is the online meetings audio is not great. So maybe we can look into that when I get back. And I know that there's been others that have said that as well. But basically that's it. I've been setting up meetings. I'm looking forward to being at the fair. I wanted to thank the Board of County Commissioners, especially their staff. They've been very helpful and gracious with me as a commissioner-elect, and they've been including me in emails and messaging for the upcoming important matters that you all are currently working on, which includes the radio bond and possibly raising TLT. So I really appreciate being included in those discussions and that information, so that come January I can hit the ground running. I am looking forward to meeting more with Commissioner Olson, if he'll have me, and so I can learn from what he's learned as his time as interim commissioner. So that's all I got. I don't want to take up too much time, but I appreciate the invite and any questions. I'm here in the truck stop waiting.
Thank you. Oh, it's nice to hear your voice on this call, and I appreciate you stopping at a truck stop to join us. I'm in Wyoming, you said?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm just a couple hours south of Grand Teton and Yellowstone. There were no campsites available. I was going to head up there to wait out the smoke in Eastern Oregon and the I-84 intermittent closing, but sadly it's booked up. But anyway.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that sounds like a cool trip. So I'd like to invite Commissioner Olson or Senator Weber to ask you questions before I do. Senator Weber, do you have anything for Paul?
No, I don't. But I'm really looking forward to meeting with him and discussing some of the challenges that we have in our state that he's going to learn the impact of real soon.
True.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's one of the cool things about this job, about being commissioner, is the ways that we get to interact and partner with our legislators. It's really nice.
Well, and I want to thank Suzanne, because last year at the fair, she did bring my booth helpers some of that delicious food that her and Christy made. I really appreciated that.
Nice.
As well.
Nice.
Always there.
That's great. When Suzanne was talking about the changes to Measure 110, I was thinking about you, Paul, and how it will be interesting and helpful to have you on the board with your law enforcement background, because as we're moving through the retooling of Measure 110, as for people who are listening, as you know, we passed Measure 110, we legalized hard drugs. We just changed that, but we didn't rescind it entirely. So we're not just going back to the way it used to be. So now we have to build a new system that's called deflection. And it would, moving forward in those conversations, I would love to have your input, Paul, as someone with a career in law enforcement, to know your impressions of Measure 110, what was successful, what failed, and how you think deflection would be effective moving forward. Do you have any thoughts on that off the cuff?
I will just say this: I am excited. I'm really happy with the retooling, so to speak. As you know, I do write the press releases and do the Facebook for the sheriff's office, and you can see in recent weeks, it's really lit a fire under our detectives. They're really able now. They feel we've been hamstrung for years, And what people don't realize is these narcotics investigations, it's not about just punishing people who are using. The problem with these narcotics, or the thing about narcotics investigations, is they are a very effective tool of us getting involved in child abuse investigations, because unfortunately they follow each other. And we can get a head start and get some early recognition of other cases that need to be investigated whilst doing a narcotics investigation. So I can already tell you that police officers are very happy with some of this, and the district attorney is she's really grabbing a hold of some of these cases, and we're going after some of these Len Bias cases. So I look forward to having any discussions with this based on my narcotics detective experience. But I can tell you that the amount of community good that comes out of an active narcotics team is beneficial on so many fronts. It helps with especially child abuse. There's a direct correlation with the amount of cases we get and referrals we get from DHS when we have an active team and when we don't. So they're excited to do the work, and I'm excited that they have the opportunity to do that.
Can I add one thing? One
Please,
thing
sure.
we are seeing as a state is that we have not effectively educated our children at a young age as to the dangers of fentanyl and drugs. And so what we have got to do is, okay, this isn't Mothers Against Drunk Drivers or, DARE or any of those other things. We have got to start effectively educating our children as to the dangers of what they may be putting in their bodies, because we are seeing younger and younger people dying as a result of just experimenting and not knowing the consequences of what they are doing. And so I think that something that has to be built into our deflection plans is an education of our young people. And when we look at, we're looking at meth and what meth is doing to families. Meth is impacting those small children in those families also. And so that education part has to be considered in how we go forward with deflection.
I would agree with that. I would also extend the education to, and what we used to do when we had a very active drug team, was we would go to the schools and educate the teachers as well to help identify what drug use looks like. No one knew what tinfoil, burnt pieces of tinfoil, and they didn't even know to look for that. And by going into schools, we would identify and help get some help for those kids. So I 100% agree with that. I think that active education for both children and the educators is important as well.
Thank you.
Commissioner Olson, do you have anything for Paul?
Well, I do. I'll just mention, you mentioned that we'll get together, and certainly we will. I would hope to spend a lot of time with you, particularly after the county fair. Once we get over that hump, we'll spend an hour, half a day here and there. I would say one of the main things you'll need to learn, the commissioner's office has 5 women and 1 man, so it's important that you remember to put the toilet seat down in our single bathroom. That will be one thing right off the bat. But I would say one of the most important qualities, which I'm sure you have, is the ability to multitask. Frequently, we come to work in the morning and say, okay, we're going to work on these 3 things over the course of a day. But they turn out to be 3 different things that you never contemplated, because you get an email or a phone call or somebody, something comes up that you have to deal with. And so you think you've got your day or your week planned. That's not at all how it works. It's basically not management by crisis, but it is management by event. I'll put it that way. And things do change. But, if you're at all flexible and can think things through, which I know you can, you'll be just fine. And there are lots and lots of things happening, and some of them more significant than others. And so, like any job, you learn how to allocate your time and what needs to be done. And yes, there's a lot going on. We have a lot of budget issues, and I appreciate your input on that. And there'll be lots more of that as we work through the next few months. Then we have the radio project, which will be on the ballot before you actually take office. But you've been on our group, and we'll certainly want your input on that, particularly from law enforcement. So, yes, you've got an interesting 4 years ahead of you and perhaps beyond that. And I think you'll be just fine because you're a smart guy and you can think on your feet. And like I said, what you think you're going to be working on Friday is not at all what will really be on Friday. It's just kind of the way it is in this business, I guess. So I'll just look forward to your return and we'll start spending some time together. So thanks for calling in this morning.
Well, I appreciate that, Commissioner. And yeah, I think being a police officer, one thing we learned is that you have to be able to navigate changes, and nothing, a day doesn't go the way you plan it to be. So I've had that experience. And I was raised, to your other point regarding the commissioner's office, I was raised by a very strong single mom and a sister, so I've been taught correctly. I also just survived a 3,000-mile trip with Michelle and McKenna in a small travel trailer. So I think I'm going to be okay on that aspect as well.
Okay, good.
Anyway.
Okay, Paul. Go ahead.
No, that's all I got on that. I appreciate that, Doug.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on this call. We look forward to having you back in the area, and I think your trip sounds wonderful. So I'm happy for all of you. When you get back, we'll catch up about the biological opinion that is heating up, and I'll talk about it when it's my turn here in a few minutes. But our timeline has just sped up exponentially on that issue, so that's disturbing. And yeah, we look forward to working with you in the future. And it'll be useful to have your report about connectivity and audio remotely, because of course, if people tune into our meetings, we want them to be able to hear us. So it'll be very helpful to have you tell us what you could and couldn't hear, and so that we can troubleshoot it. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate that. And yes, I want to thank Sarah Absher, for she has kept me up to date on the BIOP progress. So I am very concerned with that. So thank you for inviting me on the call, and I'll say goodbye, and I'm going to hit the road again.
Safe travel.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that was wonderful. And we will move on to Tillamook County Community Health Centers. Do we have Ed Colson with us this morning?
Hi guys, you have Rocky. Ed is out today, so I'll
Fabulous. Good morning.
Our update. So
wonderful.
We'll start off with something kind of fun. Tomorrow's International Self-Care Day, and we should always be thinking about self-care, but it's something that we tend to forget about sometimes. So this day was established as a way just to remind people annually that it's important to remember self-care and prioritize your mind, your body, and your spirit in the ways that work best for the individual. Another important day we have coming up is World Hepatitis Day. That's on July 28th. Hepatitis is a widespread and deadly but preventable and treatable condition. And hepatitis is now the world's deadliest virus after COVID-19. So imagine that. Every year, 1.3 million people lose their lives to hepatitis. And new data from the World Health Organization is suggesting that the number of deaths is rising. So we urge people to take action and ask your provider about testing and vaccination. We'd also like to remind folks that it's wildfire season. As mentioned earlier, it's really affecting Oregon real big, in a big way right now. We have a lot of fires going, thankfully none in our vicinity. But this is just a reminder that the burn ban for our county went into effect earlier this month and is effective until further notice, as declared by the Tillamook Fire District and the Oregon Department of Forestry. This includes no open debris pile burning or burn barrels. Permitted campfires and campfires in designated areas are still allowed at this time. Wildfires threaten property and lives, and the resulting smoke can be dangerous to people's health, particularly those who may have asthma, heart or lung conditions, children and pregnant individuals. Wildfire smoke has really small particles that can irritate or damage our lungs, our throat, and our chest. And we encourage people to visit www.ready.gov/wildfires for valuable tips on preparing for and staying safe during a wildfire. There's some really great information on that website. We're also, believe it or not, nearing back to school time. I know it's crazy to think that summer is almost over, but it's a great time to think about making appointments for those well-child exams and sports physicals before school starts. And as an added plus, we have currently a wellness incentive program going on where you can get a wellness exam. If you get a wellness exam at Tillamook County Community Health Centers between now and December 31st, you will receive a free gift card for your wellness visit. Ages 3 through 6 will receive a $15 gift card, and 7 plus, or anybody over the age of 7 will receive a $25 gift card. Wellness exams can include physical exams, sports physicals, immunizations, in-clinic testing, dental, hearing, nutrition, or vision screening, and are done at no cost to the individual. Insurances are billed if you're insured. So please give us a call to make an appointment at 503-842-3938. And that's all I have for Tillamook County Community Health Center.
Thank you so much, Rocky. Doug, do we have any questions for Rocky?
Negative. No, I think that covered where we are today, and keep rolling forward. Education is so important in the health, and I think they do a good job of emphasizing one thing or another as it works through the year. So good for them.
Thank you. I appreciated what you said, Rocky, about this being, is it National Self-Care Week or Month? Self-care? Well, I don't recall if it was the week or the month of recognition for self-care. And I appreciated that. I was thinking about recently, I was talking to a young woman who'd suffered a painful breakup, and I gave her some helpful advice about, I said, well, make a list of the things that make you happy or could make you happy, from big to small, from listening to your favorite music to taking an art class or setting a goal or learning to golf, or, it's big to small, taking a trip, and practice something that makes you feel good every single day. Even if it's small, practice some kind of self-care every day, and to help yourself through this difficult time and facilitate your healing. So I offered this advice, which was good advice. And I thought to myself, wow, I really need to take that advice, which sometimes is the way advice works, that we offer something to someone else and think, oh, hey, that really applies to me. So thank you for bringing up the topic of self-care.
Absolutely.
Okay, with that, we can move on to the Nehalem Bay Health Center. Do we have Gail with us this morning?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Congratulations on your groundbreaking. I'm sorry I couldn't be there.
Well, thank you. It was a wonderful event, and just a couple of shout outs here. Thank you, Senator Weber, for mentioning it already, and I'd also like to thank others who were special guests. Wheeler Mayor Cliff Kemp was there, and Commissioner Scar, Manzanita Mayor Catherine Stock, and of course, already mentioned were representatives from Senator Merkley's office and Congresswoman Bonamici. We had a number of staff members. They all got to throw a little bit of dirt. We have a great picture. Also, I'd like to thank some of our partners who were there, including Scott Edwards Architects, Bremick Construction, the construction firm who will be working on our project, the Klosh Group. We had some board members from both the health center and the health district. It was really a momentous event. I can't say I've ever experienced anything like that before, so it was a first for me. So it was a great opportunity for the community, and so thank you for looking forward to this. Their construction is scheduled to start August 1st, and there may be some slight adjustments to the traffic patterns coming up Hospital Drive. So we will get updates from the construction team and share those when we know them, as we know them. It's not expected to be anything too troublesome. Just, for example, one of the sides of the road may be closed for a moment or two, but we're still here and serving the community. So thank you again, everyone who was able to attend. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Gail. I am glad that you're in this position of leadership during this momentous time for Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. I think the world of you. I think you're an excellent leader, and I'm happy for the organization that you get to see it through this time of growth, and also happy for you that you get to participate in this time of growth. It's really very exciting for the whole community.
Well, thank you. I'm sure you could tell the excitement in my voice, and I'm looking forward to continuing in my role here and supporting the organization. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, let's move on to Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Do we have Frank with us this morning? I'll give him a moment to unmute. Well, perhaps we don't, or he's struggling with the mute button. Sometimes it is difficult to unmute. So let's move on to Randy Thorpe, Tillamook County Emergency Manager. Randy, are you with us?
You bet, Commissioner. I am here.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to give you some more up-to-date fire statistics that are pretty alarming. As of this morning, there's 117 active fires in the state of Oregon, and they've burned now 705,000 acres in the state. That's considerably larger than what was last week. So fires are still growing quite large. There are 4 fires right now. They're considering mega fires that are over 100,000 acres. Largest fire trophy goes to the Durkee fire, which is at 174,000 acres and it's 0% contained. And this is a fire that started over by what they call the Cow Valley fire, and it's burning between Ontario and Baker City. And it's again, it continues to grow. So with all the multiple crews engaged in initial attack on all the new fires, and all of Oregon's available incident management teams are on assignment, now is the time for all of us to prepare for wildfires and help prevent future ignitions. Oregonians are urged to actively practice fire prevention, prepare their homes and a go bag for evacuation, and know where to sign up for the alerts. And that's very important because when we start getting into any types of evacuations, they do go out over 4 alerts and through IPAWS, so it's extremely important to get signed up for those types of alerts. Also, the Oregon Department of Forestry is urging the public to actively practice wildfire prevention as the state works to control over 20 large fires. Additional human-caused fires on the landscape will draw the firefighter efforts away from the lightning-caused fires and put extra strain on ground and aviation resources, which are already spread pretty thin. And I also heard last night on the news that even the governor is going to start actually bringing in crews from outside the country because of the numerous fires that are happening out throughout the whole West, and the resources are beginning pretty thin. And again, we're only in July. So what can we do? We can make sure you check all your local fire regulations, make sure the state is either in high or extreme fire danger. So if you're going to be doing any camping or recreating, make sure you get a hold of the local ODF office or the Forest Service office and make sure what their fire restrictions are in that area. And of course, debris burning is prohibited statewide. And again, they're finding that a lot of roadside fires are started by tow chains that are being dragged on the asphalt that spark the grasses along the roadway. So be careful there, and do not park on tall, dark grass. Catalytic converters get extremely hot, and they can easily ignite any type of foliage that's underneath it. Again, good time to check that Go Kit. Like I say, we don't have any fires here in Tillamook County, but it's always a good idea to make sure that you have that Go Kit assembled and ready to go with supplies you can grab quickly. Pack an easy to carry backpack or bag for each household member and your pet. Remember your pet's go bag. And just make sure you have those items: it's food, water, medication, flashlight. some extra clothing, and important documents. So with that, enjoy the summer, but again, just think fire prevention with everything you do, because we do not want to have wildfire start here in our wonderful Tillamook County. So just be careful out there, but enjoy your outdoors. And with that, I'll turn it back to the commissioner.
Thank you, Randy. Thanks for talking about wildfire. I bet the big fire that you were talking about in far eastern Oregon is the one that has Commissioner-elect Fournier waiting in Wyoming, because he said that the I-84 is intermittently closed due to fire.
Actually, there's another one that's up on that one too, that just started yesterday. It's just outside of Mosier, right along the gorge right there, and it started late yesterday. It was fast moving and right there headed towards that city, and they did some immediate evacuations and diverted quite a bit of resources up there. And plus, there's a bunch of other smaller fires that are going along the I-84, and then down with the Dirk Fire Nose. Those are really disrupting the travel if you're coming from Ontario and coming due west. So again, unfortunately, I guess Paul may be stuck in the wonderful state of Wyoming for a little while, but I'm sure he'll make the most of that. So, and again, that's the other important thing too, is you are going to do any traveling in Eastern Oregon, make sure you get on the Trip Check, because they do have all the updates on road closures and also warnings on the roads that are being where the traffic is being diverted and slowed down. So just make sure that you do check with Trip Check before you do any traveling.
Thank you. Last week at our board meeting, Kate Skinner, who's the Tillamook District Forester, she came and joined us and gave us a report, and she said that as of last Wednesday, there had been 336 fires in Oregon to date this year that were man-made. And we've just entered the season of lightning strike fires, but the 336 man-made fires, and some of them were what you were talking about, were sparks from tow chains. And yeah, so I think it really drives home the importance of us being extremely careful with fire.
Right, like I said, most of those man-caused. There are a few that are intentional, but the majority of them are just people not thinking and just not being careful while they're out there. So again, just be extremely careful with your travel.
Yeah, I agree. The past weekend, I was in Ashland at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, which was lovely. And I go with a group of friends. We try to go every year. And on Saturday night, we were in the outdoor theater, and there's smoke. There are fires in Southern Oregon, not right around Ashland, but in Southern Oregon, and the smoke moved over Ashland and settled. And so we were in the outdoor theater, and the air was very smoky, and it set off everybody's allergies, of course, including mine. But also, it's dangerous for people who have breathing problems, asthma, et cetera. And there was someone in the play who got sick from the smoke. And so there was an extended intermission because they actually had to replace that person and find their understudy rapidly, because that person couldn't continue on because of the smoke. So it really is, smoke in the air is really debilitating, and I'm glad we don't experience it as often as other communities. We have experienced it here, and it's distressing, and I'm glad we don't have it as often as other places that suffer through it for the whole fire season. Well, if we don't have anything else for Randy, I will turn this over to Doug for his commissioner's report.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. I'll hit a few items this morning, and then I'll be off to Tillamook Lightwave. So I'll start with Dory Days, what happened last weekend in Pacific City, and that was the 65th annual, 65 years in a row, except for, I think, 1 year during COVID. It has been going continuously. It's now part of the Oregon Heritage Traditions, which there are only 20 some, I think maybe 26 or 27 of all the fairs and events and things that go on in the state of Oregon over the years. There's only 20 some that have been singled out as being especially memorable and continuing to entertain and provide opportunities for people to visit and do things. Dory Days is one of them. It's in pretty good company, along with the Pendleton Roundup, Sandcastle Contest in Cannon Beach, the Portland Rose Festival, the Oregon State Fair, and a few others. So that was it for this year. And then, of course, this week we have Garibaldi Days, which also was a great festival, wonderful parade. And I think maybe the last one of the season here in Tillamook County, but we've had our 4th of July parades up and down the coast and other celebrations. And it's just a great time to be on the Oregon coast for sure. So I'll mention a couple of other things. Senator Johnson, going back too far here, Senator Weber mentioned the Blue Economy meeting we had last week at Bay City, and it essentially was a conversation about all the businesses, industries, and activities that take place because of our being next to the ocean and having seafood industries and also the rivers and anything that had to do with water. And what could we do better? What could we do differently? What could we encourage? And so there are a lot of good ideas, including food processing and some of the issues dealing with the wastewater from those plants and tourism and on and on. It was a good discussion, and it opens your eyes about what impact our rivers and bays and the ocean have on our area. So that was a good meeting. I'll mention just again our radio project is moving forward, meaning we're putting a bond measure before the voters, and it will be on the November ballot, and we'll ask voters to consider a general obligation bond that will run for about 16 years at a rate of 33 cents per $1,000 of assessed valuation. And of course, every property is a little bit different. It depends on the value of your property. What this money would do is it would replace a radio system that is now well over 20 years old. Parts of it are failing, and when they do fail, parts have to be obtained on Craigslist or eBay because they're no longer in manufacturing. You can't get them from the manufacturers and others, and it's really not what anyone would want for a public safety radio system. And this is a radio system that connects our police, our fire, the ambulance service, sometimes public works, Tillamook PUD and others. So when we have our issues here, a medical need or a fire, or lots of automobile accidents, or you need to summon a police officer, they need to talk to each other and they need to talk to dispatch. And it's getting harder and harder to do that. So the county has hired a consultant, and a new radio system has been designed, and it's not particularly terribly expensive in an overall budget, much less than a school might be, but nonetheless, it's in the range of $24 million. So that's a lot of money. But it's one of those things that government must do. It must communicate with the emergency providers. It must provide a system that works. And so more to come on that. I'll also mention there'll be a booth at the county fair where we'll have some information. I think a video will be running. We'll have some handouts, and so you can stop by if you want to know more. There'll be somebody there who can tell you more, and we'll take it from there. Also on the budget, as we discussed earlier with Commissioner-elect Fournier, is we have another budget meeting coming up on August 5th, and then there'll be another one each month following through the year. And where we're headed is a way to balance the general fund in particular, and some things that we need to do across the entire county. At this meeting, I'm going to set a target for us that we'll have to have reductions of X million dollars and in order to balance the budget. And we're also going to take a pretty long, hard look at mandated services. There's a lot of things that counties have to do as a state requirement or sometimes a federal requirement. But we also perform a few services for the public that we probably don't have to do. For example, dog licenses, passports, things like that. So we're going to have a hard look at those as well and see if that's something we need to do and if they're costing us money or actually bringing in revenue. So more to come on that one. Last thing I would say is Lightwave, as I mentioned, will meet this morning, and we're talking again about longer term. The money that's come to the state from the federal government is pretty close to $700 million, and it would be parceled out through a grant process. And Tillamook Lightwave was quite successful in the first round. There were 27 applicants for some planning grants. Only 9 were awarded money, and Tillamook Lightwave was one of them. We received a grant of $147,000, and that will help with the planning and submission of a grant for significantly more money, something in the range of 20 to 25 million. That will really make a dent in bringing internet, high-speed internet, to the underserved areas of Tillamook County. And there are plenty. When you get off the main streets and the highways, there are lots of folks that have very slow and marginal internet services. And these days, simply because of commerce and telemedicine and the educational aspect, it's pretty much a utility, not unlike water and wastewater and electricity. So more to come on that. It's going forward, and we intend to get our share. So thank you, Commissioner. With that, I'll stop and kick it back to you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate working with you. So let me just say that. I am very grateful that you stepped in and took on this role and this responsibility and gave up a year of your life and a year of your lovely wife's life in order to be of service with us. And I really admire the work you're doing. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I will note for the record, I do cash my paychecks. So put that on the record. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I mentioned briefly when we were talking to Commissioner-elect Fournier that I would say something about the biological opinion. You listeners have heard us talk about the biological opinion for years now. It used to be David Yamamoto talking about it. Now it's me, and Sarah Absher has been our staff lead person on this project. So if you've been following this story, I'll try to sum it up briefly and give you the update. This is about changes that are coming to floodplain development as a result of FEMA having been sued for allowing development in floodplains as related to the impacts on endangered species. So the overall theme of it for our area is the assertion that development in floodplains, development which could mean anything, any movement of land in floodplains, is impacting coho specifically and orca. So coho, you can kind of see that argument because they come up our rivers. But orca, I'm not sure. I don't even know how that applies. But anyway, that's what they're saying. So we have known that this was coming. This has been in the pipeline for years, and it's been stalled, slowed down, challenged, paused several times, and we thought we had more time before the implementation. But we just recently got a letter from FEMA, maybe the week before last, just recently, in the last couple of weeks, got a letter saying we expect counties to have established their plans. They want the counties to change our processes related to permitting to follow FEMA's new guidelines. And so we need to change our processes and indicate that we have done so by the end of this calendar year, which is just a few short months away, and then start documenting those changes the first of the year. So that new timeline, that was news to us. And so the information is incomplete. So we don't know exactly what we're supposed to do. And the timeline's not reasonable, and the whole thing is very distressing. And what it means for us is we can't opt out. If you've heard us talk about this before, forgive me, but if you haven't, we can't opt out, because if we refuse to comply, which we've considered and talked about, the FEMA will just eliminate our flood insurance program in Tillamook County, which we can't do. There aren't there aren't alternatives. There's some private flood insurance for residences, but not for businesses. We have way too many people who are insured in the floodplain, and we simply can't not have that insurance. So, so they have us over a barrel, and they're presumably going to force us to change our permitting processes in order to align with their new rules. So this is truly dreadful and coming up fast. So you'll be hearing more about this in the coming days and weeks and months, of course. And I encourage people who are thinking about doing something in the floodplain, thinking about planning. It's maybe you're thinking you had a couple years. If you have any intention of doing anything in the floodplain, you should get an appointment with community development right away and talk about that, because you may want to speed up your timeline, because it's possible that we won't be able to issue permits for things that we can currently issue permits for. We won't be able to issue them in the future, or we will, but the additional mitigations will be so difficult, so expensive, that people won't be able to jump through all the hoops. So here's an example. At Barview Jetty County Park, we want to repave the entrance, maybe build a new bathroom, build a new fee booth, and that's in the floodplain. So, that seems like a pretty straightforward project. We've been planning to do it for years. It got postponed several times because of jetty work, et cetera. So now we're in a big fat hurry to get the permitting done to do that, because it's possible that kind of project would be severely impacted when these new rules come into effect. So just be thinking about projects that you intend to do, and whether or not you want to start the permitting process for them now, because your ability to do them may change in the future. So sorry to be the bearer of that bad news. And with that, let's move on to the cities. How about City of Manzanita? Do we have Mayor Stock or Linda Kozlowski?
Good morning, Commissioner Bell.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner Bell. Just a short star 6 delay there. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, no, great. And yeah, my updates will be a little in contrast to the seriousness of what you just described. I'm always amazed, and hopefully will still be amazed at how much I learned on these calls, and just the breadth and depth of the issues that the county faces. So thank you for that update. Unlike many people on the call, the issue you were just talking about with FEMA is relatively new to me. So I appreciated you giving the update for the people who haven't been following this for years. So thank you. I would start with a continued series of thanks regarding the groundbreaking for the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. It was indeed a beautiful day, and it was just terrific to be there. The view from Wheeler cannot be beat there. Looking out at the bay from where the new facility will be was just kind of outstanding. And I just have a lot of respect for all of the people who started with something that some people said would be impossible to pull off, and just proceeded to get it done anyway with a huge amount of community support. So that's wonderful. Perhaps maybe following in the Senator Weber tradition of discussing food, I would like to say that the cookies were made by a wonderful woman in Wheeler named Heidi, who runs a great restaurant there called The Roost. So that was the origin of that, and they were indeed delicious. One more thing, I'd like to give a shout out to Senator Weber for her help that she and her office are giving us in tracking down one of those state things where you've got some troubleshooting to do behind the scenes, and it has to do with our infrastructure infrastructure funding that we've received from the state, and a few details that have to get sorted out. So we very much appreciate the prompt response from her office and helping us get that sorted. Last week, we had a coffee with the city, which is something that our Councilor Kozlowski has been organizing for several months now. And we invited our Public Works Director, Dan Weitzel, to attend. it was really good. And I would say it's just a great reminder of the beauty of being in smaller sized towns. I realize Manzanita is kind of bigger than some towns on this call and smaller than others, but it was really good. We had about 20 people show up, lots of questions, practical questions for our public works director, questions that got answered and from the source, which is terrific, and actually kind of corralled up a few rumors, and we got those out of the way, so really helpful. But it was particularly poignant because our public works director, Dan, is part of our local fire department efforts, and he had just come back from some time fighting fires in Eastern Oregon and was talking directly to the people there about what that experience was, how hard it actually was to leave with the feeling that things were not complete, but he was due back here to his job here and the public works work that he does so excellently with his team for our city. So it's just a reminder to me of the many ways that really committed people are involved, whether to Commissioner Olson's comment, whether they receive a paycheck and cash it, or whether they're doing that on a volunteer basis. And it was just a reminder to all of us of how we are so interdependent on each other and the care that we take with fire and, you know, trying to have common sense when we're out in the woods and things like that. So I'm just grateful for that. And I want to say thanks. And we're certainly looking forward to next year when we can attend the grand opening of that healthcare center. So thanks very much. And that's it for Manzanita.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate your report. Do we have anyone on from Nehalem or Wheeler? How about Rockaway Beach? Do we have Mayor McNeely today? Give him a moment to unmute if he's there. Or Garibaldi? Do we have Leanne Welch or anyone from Garibaldi?
Good morning, Commissioner.
How about
This is Leanne Welch.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. I'm hoping Jake Boone, he's the new city manager for Garibaldi, figures out star 6. It does take a while to get there, so let's see if Jake, are you on there? Well, let's see. So Jake Boone started yesterday. He is the new city manager for the city of Garibaldi. Again, I think the city of Garibaldi is lucky to have him. Garibaldi is a great city, so I look forward to seeing him and working with their council moving forward. As Senator Weber talked about, the Garibaldi Days is this weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there should be a Facebook page on there about where the events are. The parade starts at 11. There's bands in the evening. There's the fireworks Saturday night. We've got sponsors from a variety of local businesses. Want to thank all of those. You'll see their logos in the local Headlight Herald ad. So good things happening for the city of Garibaldi this week. Turning over to Bay City, this morning at 9:30 is Coffee with the Mayor, Coffee with Me. The League of Oregon Cities has sent out to all the cities 23 legislative concepts for the 25-26 session, and they would like the cities to give them their top 5. So this morning here in Bay City, I'll be working with whoever shows up for Coffee with the Mayor on what they think their 5 top legislative issues should be. And I'm also doing that with our city councilors. This is due by the cities to the League of Oregon Cities by the end of September. So cities have a long time. And again, I'm hoping that we can align our priorities up and down Tillamook County through our cities and even the coast so that we're moving forward together. I did hear a lot of sirens this weekend from my home in Bay City. So shout out to our EMS and our emergency responders. And if you're driving on our highways, stop and pull over. Let them get to wherever they need to go. And one last thing, Bay City was successful with a $2.5 million grant for a seismic upgrade to our fire department. Our fire department is in a unreinforced brick masonry building, and I want to thank Business Oregon for administering that. And I'm not sure which committee that came out of that funding, if it was resiliency or the Oregon State Fire Marshal, but we want to thank the state of Oregon for all that. So thank you very much. Bay City out.
Thank you very much, and welcome to Jake Boone. We look forward to meeting him on this in this meeting and at a future time. Let's move on to the city of Tillamook. Do we have Nathan George with us?
Good morning, Commissioner. I'm here.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Yes, I do have a few things. One, I wanted to give a little homelessness efforts from the city of Tillamook update. Just a brief overview. As most residents are probably aware, the Supreme Court of the United States passed a recent ruling in the case number 23.175, City of Grants Pass versus Johnson. In short, the ruling was the cities can punish unhoused people for sleeping in public places, even if they have nowhere else to go. However, along with that, the Supreme Court emphasized that the rules on homelessness are set by the states of our union, not the federal government. In the case of the state of Oregon, House Bill 3115, adopted in 2001, requires any city or county law regulating the acts of sitting, lying, sleeping, or keeping warm or dry outside on public property must be objectively reasonable based on totality of circumstances as applied to all stakeholders, including persons experiencing homelessness. So in short, the city must continue to allow or provide public space for our homeless population to rest. And accordingly, the city has been working with CARE Inc., Tillamook County, and many other partners in planning and creating solutions to help those experiencing homelessness, while at the same time helping to improve and strengthen our city and community's livability. So these partnerships have been occurring over the past few years in many ways and will continue moving forward. In the police department, Chief Troxel attended the local Public Safety Coordinating Council meeting. This meeting was well attended and productive, and Chief Troxel also attended the Houseless Action Network meeting. This group is important to the city of Tillamook and the police department, and Chief Troxel shared the fact that while the Supreme Court ruled, as I just talked about, in favor of 8th Amendment, House Bill 3115 is still in place for Oregon. So we will continue enforcing the law as we are supposed to. Chief Troxel also attended the Tillamook County Sexual Assault Response Team meeting. It's exciting to hear that we as a community are moving closer and closer to having trained sexual assault nurses available to survivors in Tillamook. That is fantastic. Sergeant Harrell and Chief Troxel attended a meeting about obtaining AEDs, which stands for Automatic External Defibrillator, for our patrol cars. These are good opportunities that we will continue to explore. Chief Troxel also had a great meeting with Sheriff Brown. Chief Troxel advises the partnership and relationship with the Sheriff's Office and Police Department is strong and going well. And we just want to say we are very grateful for the strong relationship with Tillamook County. And Chief Troxel is attending a briefing on the public safety radio system. He attended, last week. The system is old, outdated, needs to be replaced. There is a political action committee formed seeking a bond to fund and replace. I recall Councilor Olson speaking quite a bit about that, I believe it was a week or so ago. Our Public Works Department, the Streets and Parks Division staff will continue to water and maintain the hanging flower baskets along Main Street and Pacific Avenue, in addition to performing routine maintenance tasks like street sweeping, pothole filling, and bioswale maintenance. And we will be street sweeping in preparation for the striping done by Marion County. Our street crew is, although some people are new, is also removing parking spots along the south side of First Street across from Flavors on First to help keep pedestrians safe in this area. And new crosswalks will be put down next week as well. This project and initiative was initiated and approved by the City Council in an effort to help keep our residents and visitors safer. We are cutting brush back on the backside of Hookorden Park this week. Please take caution in these areas. Heavy machinery will be in use. The water distribution staff are removing a damaged fire hydrant at the intersection of First Street and Stillwell Avenue. You may remember there's been a black plastic sack over it for some time. This is a high traffic area, so please take caution while navigating the area. So that site will be finally cleaned up. As more sewer laterals are replaced and the city continues collaborating with the contractors and homeowners, please be aware of this continued construction activities around town. Please join us for a free family outdoor movie night with popcorn and games for children and adults of all ages and abilities at Goodspeed Park this Friday, July 26th. The movie Wonka will begin at dusk around 9 p.m. If you haven't seen the movie Wonka, it is very enjoyable. My wife and I really enjoyed it. Please bring your choice of seating, chairs, blankets, etc., any additional snacks or non-alcoholic beverages for your enjoyment. Please remember to spread the word to your families, friends, and neighbors. And we look forward to seeing you there. If you ever want to become a sponsor for future movie nights or events, please contact our Public Works Department by emailing publicworks@tillamook-OR.gov or calling our main number and following the extensions. For all inquiries, including maintenance requests for potholes, damaged signs, overgrown vegetation, any other matters related to streets, parks, public utilities, etc., water and sewer are public utilities and stormwater, please, or even questions about road closures or infrastructure projects, please visit our website or email our Public Works Department at publicworks@tillamook-OR.gov. You can also call us, and especially after hours, and follow the prompts, and we'll get you to an on-call employee. If you drive by the Veterans Memorial Plaza, I don't know if you call it Plaza, but the area that our Councilor Doug Henson recently passed, that's on the ODOT property, owned between Front Street, Main Avenue, and Pacific Avenue, you will see the North Coast Lawn, Inc. is installing pavers around the memorial this morning. It's a beautiful sight, and we appreciate Councilor Torres' dedication to completing this project after the unfortunate passing of Councilor Henson. All municipal elections are on the city's website, are live, and will be live through August 13th. Wards 1, 3, 5, and 6 are all open seats. So to run for city office, the residents must complete the packet found on the city's website, or it can be picked up at City Hall, in the office of Deputy City Recorder Tammy Heitzman, through August 13th. So anyone can stop by City Hall or contact her with any questions. Reminder, if you see something, please say something by calling 911 for emergencies and dispatch for non-emergencies. And the next regular council meeting will be held on Monday, August 5th at 7 p.m. We encourage everyone interested in local government to attend virtually or in person. That is all, Commissioner. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Nathan. Do we have anything else for the good of the order? If not, I will thank KTIL for broadcasting this show. Thanks to everyone for participating, and thank you, Tillamook County, for listening. We are adjourned at 9:21. Have a great day, everyone.